Welcome everybody to Gallagher's for our first edition of Southwest Truck Talk. So this is our first show. Each month we're going to be inviting members of the Southwest Athletics community in to talk about how things are going with their sports, their athletes, the games. You get the inside scoop to see what's going on here behind the scenes at Southwest High School. My name is Andrew Crane. I am a Southwest teacher alum and the PA announcer at Carl Sunday Gymnasium and at Dahlin Family Stadium. All right, our first guest tonight is our soccer coach. Please welcome Mr. Jay Draves. How are you doing, Jay?
Doing well. Good to try to see how this goes for it, but excited for it. Let's see.
So, how long? Tell us just a quick bio. Let people know how long have you been the coach here. How long have you been at Southwest? How'd you get involved in the soccer program?
Yeah. So I started coaching at Southwest in fall of 2012. Took over the boys JV program for 2 years. And then have been the head coach of the boys program since 2014. And then in the meantime, I also have been an assistant and then recently the head coach with the girls program too in the spring.
All right, so I wonder, would that make you the longest tenured coach at Southwest?
For sure, for the Southwest sports, I think there may be a swim coach for a GBU sport that may have me beat right now, but I think yes.
Very nice, very nice. So, how's the season going? How's the start?
So we played 2 games last week. Opened up, we beat Green Bay East 1-0 in our home opener, and then went over to Seymour and won 4-0 in that one at the varsity level. JVs have also picked up 2 wins too.
So what's working? What's changed from last year? Last year was a bit of a challenging season, at least in the win column. What's been working? What's going well?
Yeah, so we kind of talked about last year, even after the season finished, we talked with the players that were on last year's team and that were coming back. We did talk about how that group really kind of learned from each other, did a good job of trying to solve problems in practice together with themselves. We didn't necessarily see it in the win-loss results last year, but I think that group really set a good kind of precedent for themselves for this year. And now some of that work that they did is starting to pay off. Guys playing together, being on the same page, and really trying to integrate some new pieces to it too this year that are having some quality results for us.
What kind of new pieces are you talking about?
So we have had a new freshman goalie step in this year for it. So Owen Hanold is joining us this year, so he's starting between the pipes for us this year. We've also, our leading goal scorer is sophomore Baliko Ali. I played JV partway through the year last year and started the season on JV, had a really good showing in our scrimmage, has kind of played his way into a big time role on varsity now too.
He definitely flashed in the last game, in the game I got to announce at Dahlin. I really took notice of LE. That was pretty impressive. It's nice to see. So who are the leaders this year on the team? Who stepped up, and are your coaches on the field?
Yeah, so kind of the easy answer, I guess, for that is our captain, Ian Jones. He's a senior leader for us this year, 3-year varsity player. Really has been, we had some conversations this summer about what we kind of wanted him to do and how that would look to be the extension of coach on the field. And he's really stepped into that role. We do have a pretty big senior class this year. We had a real big one 2 years ago, had a smaller senior class last year, and then another big one this year. So within that senior class, there's been a lot of guys day-to-day, practice to practice, that have found different ways to be leaders and get guys to follow in their own ways too. But that, Abdulmalik Muse has been another one who's really stepped up. And then JP Ginter also has been a real leader in that role too for us.
Who's made the biggest strides from last season? Maybe it's not one of the leaders, maybe it's not one of your big goal scorers, whatever, but who's somebody that really embodies what you look for and you're really pleased to see make that kind of improvement?
The guy that I really think is exemplifying that for us is Johnny Mays this year. Last year started as a JV player for us. We had a couple injuries late as the season went on, and he went from, maybe seeing the field a minute or 5 minutes a night to stepping up to being a starter for a couple games at the end of the year in emergency roles, and then really is doing it this year for us. Is looking to be, the backup in the center too if Ian or JP need a rest. Has really kind of locked down his side and his spot and his role on the team this year.
So this is Southwest Chalk Talk, so I guess we need to talk about some chalk. Are there any strategical differences, some different, different form, different anything that you're doing this year that either you thought just was better for this collection of players, or just something that you have changed your mind about that works better? What kind of strategy changes do you see this year?
Sure. To be honest, I usually go a little bit more dry erase for our schemes and stuff. So, it's a little bit hard to get a chalkboard out there. But I would say, we always kind of look at every season as a new season. I don't necessarily go into a season with, this is the system I'm going to play, and because this is what Coach Draves does. We have some core principles that we, no matter what, stick. But every year it's what is the best 11 guys we can put out on the field to get ourselves results. So that's, kind of the mindset. This year we actually changed the formation from what we were doing last year too, to try to isolate some guys in some spaces, to use their speed, use their combinations with each other and relationships with each other. So yeah, we did change up the formation and kind of look at what we were doing differently last year, and watching and asking some guys to really step up and take on bigger roles as they matured and have grown up some more throughout the season.
Excellent. So take us into dry erase mode here a little bit. As you're getting ready for a game, how many days in advance do you kind of start to scout your opponent? And how much do you focus on that, honestly, on that team that you're playing that week, or that next Tuesday or Thursday? How much do you focus on yourselves, and it doesn't matter who you're playing? What's your kind of view of that, and what specific things do you do to prepare for each match?
Yeah, so it's a little bit trickier when we play, some nights where it's 2 games a week, where it's a Tuesday turnaround right away to a Thursday, especially as we're getting kind of later into the season. I would say we always are looking at ourselves first, right? That's always the number one. How do you get better? Today we took some time off the practice pitch and went in and watched film to learn from ourselves what we were doing well. We gave them the directives of what are some things we need to stop doing, what are some things we need to start doing, and what are some things we need to change. So those are the goals, and those are the directions we give the guys at halftime when they go off to have a conversation with themselves before the coaches kind of come in. I need you to give me a stop, start, and a change. So we kind of have that theme running through it. The nice thing about the experience I do have, I've been around for a while, so I kind of have an idea of what generally to expect. But I'm also a coach who's always pulling film on teams and always trying to make that available for our guys to watch and look at. I know as a teacher, you've had conversations about guys watching film in class before.
Never.
But those are the type of things that we always try to have available, to the point where I have other coaches in the area reach out to me at times of, hey, do you have film on these guys? I haven't been able to find it. Have you had some success getting it? So, we always try to use that resource that we have available to us now with that access to the technology.
So how do you see the season shaping up? You mentioned how some weeks you have games, 2 games a week, only 1 day between. I believe you don't have a game at all this week, which seems a little unusual. How do you see the rest of the season playing out? What are the more challenging stretches? for example? And then also kind of a follow-up question is, how do you see the FRCC this year? What are some of the tougher games and more exciting games that our fans should come out to watch?
Yeah, so, we sit and as coaches, pretty much all coaches, whenever we have our seating meetings, I always say I play in one of the toughest conferences in the state. I think we can definitely say that. You look at from Division One, last year we had the state runner-up in Preble. They return a lot of guys. They're obviously going to be another really good squad. Division Two, Pulaski is always tough competition for us when we see in the playoffs. And you go down to Division Three with Notre Dame too. Then you add in teams of Sheboygan North, who went undefeated in the regular season last year. And you had a team like Bayport, always strong, right? So the level of play in the FRCC is tough from top to bottom. We always look at it, right? You got to take care of the games on your schedule that you should. Competitive games are always, the next one against Ashwaubenon is going to be a tough one. Manitowoc, going to be a tough one. West Superior joining the conference now is a new different thing. They were state runner-up 2 years ago. So top to bottom, it's tough. But I really think, we have a group of guys who in moments last year competed in those games. We may have had some games that kind of got away from us due to injuries, having to rest guys knowing we were having that turnaround from Tuesday to Thursday, and just be smart with limited depth and those type of things. But we're looking at turning those learn how to play and compete to now learn how to get the results. So we're hoping that with this group of seniors, we've kind of turned that page for that.
All right. So out in the crowd, out in the audience, if anybody has any questions for Coach Draves, come on up or from your seat, let us know. And we can edit this part out. So. All right, thanks everyone. Any last words? Any messages for the fans, for the students, the players, Coach Draves, as you move forward, continue your season?
Yeah, I think we've got a group of guys in this program that represent a lot of different groups throughout the school. So they've got connections and all different things. Feel free if you see them around the building, if you see them, around the city, right, to reach out and try to connect. But know that it's a group of guys that want to work and they want to do it together. We always challenge them that they go out there as 11 guys as one. And I think this is a group that's starting to buy into that message. So we'll kind of see how things go the rest of the way. But, we love having you out there. And we also love, being there. And hopefully we'll have our guys out there supporting the other groups that'll be talking to the other teams that are doing their work here this fall.
Well said. All right, everybody, let's hear it for Coach J. Draves. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our head volleyball coach. Please welcome Adrian de la Cruz.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. All right, so like we did with Coach Draves, why don't we start off, Adrian, talking about your experience here at Southwest. How long have you been here leading our volleyball program? What brought you here in the first place?
So this is going into my second year here at Southwest. I was originally up in O'Connell for 5, right? Took a team to state in 2021. Prior to that, I was actually the head coach at Preble, of all places, and coached at West Superior also.
And so last year was your first year, and it really was
Yes.
a successful year. 23-10, just an amazing year for you here at Southwest. And you had a couple of pretty good players, to say the least. We had 2 players that went on to Division I college. We had Alexa Hernandez, who went to WGB, and Morgan Stewart, who went to DePaul. How do you use that success of those players and of your team last year moving forward with a younger group of kids?
The nice thing of having athletes like that in the program, it gives the younger girls, when they were here, something to look up to and something they want to emulate, and ideas of, hey, you know what, I could actually do that, right? I just need to put in the time, the effort to do that. The big thing is, though, once those athletes graduate, is reminding the team that, hey, we are not that team anymore. All right, we've got to create our own identity. We aren't the Morgan Alexa show anymore, right? We are this show now. And a lot of it is getting them to believe that they themselves can do that individually, right, and together as a team and create a new look, if you look at it that way.
So what is that new look this year for the team? What would you say has changed, and what are the constants that, even though the players don't change, the things that you insist to still be part of your identity, I guess?
One of my big things is I'm always a big pursuit of excellence, right? If you're perfect, you can't get any better, right? But if you're trying to work on getting to become excellent, you're constantly building yourself, constantly going after, right, being better and always being better than you were last time you were on the court. Because if you get stuck, right, those teams that are perfect, you can't emulate that again, right? You're going to get lucky if you can, right? But you got to be able to go out there and fight every time and still force yourself to be better than you were last time. What was the other half of the question? My apologies.
How does this team maybe different from last year's team? Besides, just, are there things maybe that they actually do better, or you could see them being better at by the end of the season? How is the kind of the character of the team different than last year's team?
The one thing we have this year that we relied on a little bit too much last year, right? We relied on Morgan for everything, right? Morgan Stewart was our workhorse last year. This year, the nice thing is we're able to spread it around now to where everyone gets their part, gets to play their part in the play. Obviously, wow, my brain shut down there for a second. Ooh, goodness. All right, but they all have their own individual pieces to make that puzzle complete, and they all know that, hey, I can do this. Now, hey, am I able to do it? If that makes sense.
All right. Well, before we move on, I don't know if you knew this, but just yesterday, Morgan Stewart was named the Big East Conference Freshman of the Week for DePaul.
That is awesome. I happened to catch, she was also named at the Western Michigan Tournament, a member of the all-tournament team, which as an incoming freshman, that is amazing, especially in the Big East.
So congratulations on that and helping to develop her, and that's certainly something that we can celebrate here at Southwest when people go on to do great things. So how did you lose, remind me, did you lose a lot of seniors? Do you have a young team? What's kind of the breakdown there? We'll start with that.
Okay. I did lose a lot of firepower last year. I returned 6 players from last year's team. This year I'm carrying 15, which for volleyball, that's a huge roster. Usually we don't carry more than 12, 14 max. We might grab a couple people for the playoffs, but 15 is huge. It's a huge roster.
So what's the thinking behind that?
A lot of the thinking behind it is you never know when, unfortunately, knocking on synthetics here, somebody might get hurt, right? And you need pieces and people that you can plug into those spots. And some of the people we have, they know they've got a specific part to play, and them embracing it. That's the cool part about it all, is they embraced it. And as long as we can keep embracing those bits and pieces, right, we can keep ourselves going forward. We might struggle now, right, figuring out, right, getting the chemistry for the team. We might struggle with that a little bit, but once it all comes together, it comes together. So it'll be fun and exciting. It'll be an interesting ride.
So let's talk about some of the players. Who are some of the people that have kind of stepped up this year as leaders? We'll start with that.
Okay. First off, I have 3 seniors this year. right? Nika Walker has stepped up. She's a very big vocal leader. She's an emotional leader. A junior, Harper Kemper, who's coming back literally from an injury 2 years ago, and she's a big focal point of our offense. And they're all the quiet leaders, right? Nika's more of the emotional one. When she gets going, the entire crowd goes with her, right? She's amazing on the court when she gets herself going. But it's nice that I also have other leaders that do other things for us. Like I have a freshman starter, right? Coach Jay mentioned Ian Jones. I've got his little sister, right, who stepped up and she's playing as a freshman, right? Sadly, right now she's out with a concussion, right? The trip to Sun Prairie was not nice to us, but right, she's doing what she should be doing as a freshman, right? She's out there, she's being a leader, not afraid to be a leader. So it's nice having the variety of different type of leaders and different roles that each one of them play, and it's nice that they all get together and get along, right? Because anytime you got a team of athletes in general, there's always that little bit of infighting. Right now there isn't any, or at least they're not letting me know about it.
Right. Well, that's good to hear. Any surprises? Who's made the biggest improvement from last year, perhaps, that you're really excited about?
One of the biggest improvements I actually am really excited about is Madison Lee. She was on the JV2 team as a libero last year. I pulled her out, dressed her for the playoffs, and then this year during tryouts, she worked her way up into the starting lineup. So she's a sophomore who's playing with the big dogs per se and having a field day about it. So I mean, if you can get a sophomore that can step up and is not afraid of anything, keep going with it.
Wow, that's good to hear. So it's Southwest Chalk Talk. Let's get into the X's and O's. Do you see? I think I might know the answer to this a little bit, since you mentioned how kind of Morgan did so many things for the team last year, and she was somebody that you could always count on for the big play, the big kill, everything. How does your strategy change, or is it just really everybody has to? It's not any one person, but everybody has to just step up a little bit to know their role, and any strategic changes this year?
Strategically, a lot of it is they have to step up and not be afraid, right? When Morgan carried us last year, right, Morgan did everything for us. And people were afraid to make mistakes because they didn't want to, right? I was the reason why we lost or something like that. Now it's one of those things that, hey, make the mistake. You're not going to learn if you don't make it, right? And getting them to believe that, hey, it's all right, take the risk, right? Right? They said, what's the saying? No risk it, no biscuit, or something to that sense.
Risk it for the biscuit.
Yes. Right? And take that chance. You never know. Right? Something amazing might happen. You might make a mistake. Learn from it. And that's my big thing. Learn from what's going on. And yes, we did have to change it up a little bit. I don't have the Alexas or the Morgans, right, to lean on. Now it's one of those things we have to do it together as a team. Right? It's now fully a true team concept.
Makes sense. So, how do you, what's your vision of, and how do you kind of sell sports and sell volleyball to players, and to help them, kind of like the bigger kind of question about the bigger picture of how does sports, high school sports, help people, help kids in all aspects of life, and to be better people and to have successful lives. How do you sell that, and what's your understanding of that? How does sports make high school athletes good people?
All right, as a former high school athlete back in the day, I think dinosaurs ruled the world when I played though. The big thing is we've got to learn that everyone is watching you, right? As athletes, you don't realize that just because you think so-and-so is watching you because grandma's there, you don't realize that maybe some little girl or some little boy is out there watching what you're doing and wanting to maybe grow up to be you, right? And the big thing is letting them realize that it's just not about you anymore, right? When you're playing high school sports, right, you represent your school, right? You represent your coaches. You represent the community that your school is out of. You represent more than just yourself anymore. And it's what you show and what you do out there will determine what people think of your school, of your community type thing. So my thing is always present the best version of yourself out there. And when I'm trying to sell that to athletes, it's the, hey, give me you, right? I don't need carbon copies of myself as a coach, right? I want you as a person. Give me the best you that you can possibly give you, because guess what? You're going to get all of me, right? You're going to get the best version of me. So if I can get the best version of you, it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, any questions from the audience for Coach? With more people in the future, this will hopefully this will fill in. But
They're also eating, so.
not an excuse, but okay. All right, Coach, come back here. Thanks, everyone. So, how does the next couple of weeks shape up for you? By the way, we're going to be here from Gallagher's here for Southwest Chalk Talk. Second Wednesday of every month. The next Wednesday we're going to be here is the 24th of September, and that's the second Wednesday every month moving forward. So when we come back together on the 24th, what kind of schedule do you have coming up? What chances do our fans have to see you in action at home?
That is exciting because presently what I was advised that we will actually be hosting our first home match next Tuesday. We open up conference against Sheboygan North. After that, we travel to west of here. All right, but we'll be at home next Tuesday.
Awesome. And what's your message to the fans?
I had one. At least the girls would have given me one if they knew this was going to be the question. Be there, have fun, enjoy the game. It's going to be a lot of fun. Come see the new gym.
That sounds great. Yeah, and we'll have a place for them to sit, I believe, in some fashion. So, but it looks great, and it's going to look amazing. This new gym that we have, it is great, and it's really going to be a boost to our athletic department. Thank you to the taxpayers of Green Bay for helping us out with that. Any last messages you have for our community, our fans, our students, etc.?
No, I do not, actually, right now.
We can edit that out.
I'm like,
All right, everyone, let's give a hand to Coach De La Cruz.
thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, and we've got one more special guest here on Southwest Chalk Talk. Please welcome Southwest football coach BJ Hill. All right, so Coach Hill, you came to us last January or so that you joined us.
Officially February, I think.
February, thank you. Okay, and so there are probably a lot of people that do know you or do know of your life before Southwest, but there's probably some people watching that don't know that much about you. So why don't you give us your quick bio and what brought you to Southwest?
How far back should I go?
2000s?
4K. You get to pick. You talk to us about yourself. What do you want us to know? What do you want the Southwest community to know about Coach BJ Hill?
Okay, so I'm originally from Maryland, so that's on the East Coast. That is not a southern state. I went to school in Indiana, Ball State University. Spent 4 years there on a scholarship to play Division I football. And then I got an opportunity to come and play for the Green Bay Blizzard here, which is what I'm mostly known for. I played 6 total seasons for that team, 4 between 2010 and 2013, and then again in 2018 and 2019. And then after my first stint with the Blizzard, I actually coached here before as a position coach in 2013.
And what made you decide that this would be a great career move for you? That coaching our young athletes here at Southwest was something that you could do and something that you wanted to do.
Yeah, so I actually went to school for coaching. I knew that this is what I wanted to do when I got done with school. Playing football for so long, I was like, this is my first love. Once I'm done playing, I don't want to stop being around the sport. So I got a bachelor's degree in being able to be in this arena. And once I decided that I was done playing football officially, when Coach Williams gave me a shot, I'm like, this is the perfect time for me to dive into this profession and give it everything I have.
So how's it going so far? Are you enjoying it? How's it going? How's the first season going? Talk about any surprises. How's it going?
It's beautiful. It's ugly. It's challenging. It's welcoming. You wear a ton of hats in this industry. You're a problem solver. So it's a lot, but it's what I chose to do. It's a passion of mine. There's nothing that I have walked into the door and been overwhelmed with. So I've enjoyed every second of it.
So you've had 2 games so far. How about a quick synopsis of who we played and how things went, and were you happy with the effort? What's your kind of summary of our first 2 games?
Yeah, so our first game was August 21st. It was against Appleton East. Actually, a debut of 2 new head coaches. He was a new head coach down there, and he's done a great job with his team. First year for me and my staff. And, I would say we competed all 4 quarters. I think that game was, it wasn't decided until probably 8 minutes or 7 minutes left in the 4th quarter. So our boys really, really fought, given the size of the rosters difference. It's a big discrepancy there. And you wouldn't be able to tell, going down to the wire in that game. So the score didn't come out like we wanted it to, but there were parts in that game where I'm like, if we just make this player make that play, and that's what it really came down to, is just making the plays that are there. We make this player make that play, it's a different ball game, and we are trying to figure out if we got our first W or not. So that was week 1. Week 2, Stoughton came to town. Again, watching them on film, we were very confident in putting together a better performance than we actually ended up doing. And same kind of story. We're leaving things on the field that we should be doing. And so, I appreciate the kids, and, maybe in the past you could lean on not knowing something, but this time around. And so now it's just about executing. So once again, one of those games where we were in the game until about the middle of the 3rd, 4th quarter, but we just run out of steam. We got guys playing both sides of the ball, and I don't care who you are, you end up running out of gas. So that's been the story of our first couple weeks. And, we have a tough task on Friday, but we're up for it.
And I would reiterate, I would agree with you that, you were toe-to-toe with Stoughton there until, 3rd quarter, and then you could see the battle at the line of scrimmage. They were getting more yardage before they're even getting touched, and I'm sure getting tired. And so would you say that's one of the biggest challenges is the numbers, the depth that you have, the ability to deal with injuries and other challenges that you have in keeping a full roster going?
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge of ours. And, Coach Adrian hit on, having 15 girls out there in case of injury. We don't have that luxury. It's a little bit of a challenge pulling up JV to varsity because it's just a different physical atmosphere for them. So it's harder to pluck, 9th graders or 10th graders and say, hey, look, you need to be playing a varsity game. So for us, the numbers are definitely not in our favor, but we're not going to make that excuse. We're still going to go out every time we have a game, and we're going to fight, and we're going to give ourselves an opportunity to win.
So what's the plan for building up the numbers and getting more excitement? Do you think it's, obviously you put a lot of thought into this, I'm sure, because you knew coming in that would be one of our bigger challenges. What's your strategy there?
So one of my strategies before I even hit the field was hitting the hallways and just trying to do some in-school recruiting. And that's going to continue in the off season, and really just kind of hold these kids' feet to the fire, because we actually had 71 kids on the roster before the summer, and for one reason or another, the kids just decided not to continue to come out. So we have to get creative in the ways that we recruit kids. We have to even look for outside opportunities. You know, Wisconsin approved NIL for a reason, and so we're going to be looking at every opportunity to take advantage of that too as well.
And if you want to help with that, our phone number is 920-492-2650. So, so unfortunately, it's 0-2 start. Are the kids, you know, how's the team's attitude? How are the kids' attitude? Are they where, you know, mentally where you still want them to be? How are you feeling about that?
I would say the attitudes are still positive because I just don't allow that atmosphere to go on. It's you know, we're gonna put our best foot forward every single week, despite the circumstances. So I don't want to hear about any complaints. I don't want to hear about, you know, these nicks and boo-boos. Once it's time to play, when we step inside those white lines, it's time to go. So that is the mentality, that is the expectation, and that's not going to change as long as I'm head coach here. And one of our seniors made a good point as to those first two games are out-of-conference games. So, you know, in terms of making the playoffs, everything is still in front of us. And I've preached that all week. Our goals of getting to where we want to get to are still right there. So, you know, just because we dropped the first two doesn't mean that we treat the rest of the season as if it was a wash.
I would say that, you know, from my perch in the press box for the second game, even though the score was starting to get away from us, it seemed like the team was still pretty positive. Still, you know, they got excited with the long pass play or two in the second half. They got a turnover later in the game, and a lot of people were just, you know, really excited as if, you know, they still were just one drive away from now tying this up. So those are some things that I saw, and hopefully that jives with some of the things that you're feeling too. So tell us about next week. West De Pere obviously is a very good team, like you talked about. We talked about a little bit before we went on the air today. You compete in one of the toughest conferences in Wisconsin. You've got, you know, Bayport, you've got Notre Dame, you've got some really great teams, and West De Pere is just one of them. What's your preview for this week at West De Pere?
I would say Chris Greison's done a great job of turning that program around out there. I've known him personally for years. He's a great coach. He's a great, even better person. You know, but just like everyone we play, everyone has tendencies and weaknesses. And so we just have to do a good job as a coaching staff to exploit those things and help our kids understand what the chinks in the armor are. And, you know, you can't do that without watching film. You know, watching film is one of the most important aspects of this game. And I remember a line in the Little Giants when the guy goes, football is 80% mental and 40% physical. And the kid turns around and was like, what? but it's true. It's, if you don't understand what's happening before you actually get on the field, then you can't play fast. And so we're trying to teach and mold these kids on how to watch film and why you need to be watching film and understanding what possibly can be coming before the ball is snapped, so you can play fast and you can play confident. If you don't know what's coming, it looks that way. You don't look like a confident football player, and things can get away from you very quickly. So, you know, as good a team as West De Pere is, there are things that we can take advantage of.
Well, good luck on Friday. So X's and O's. This is again Southwest Chalk Talk here. Your offensive scheme, something I noticed at the game last week. There's a lot of shifting going on, you know, pre-snap. A lot of receivers. There's guys looking over to the sidelines, and they're looking to get some instructions or information or something like that. And again, don't give away any trade secrets here, but
I won't.
you know, what can we know about that? What do you want us to understand about this new offensive scheme?
Yeah, so the new offensive scheme is designed to be hurry up. So kind of put the defense on the back of their heels and kind of show themselves early. So that way I know from a coverage standpoint, okay, this is what we're getting because we're going so quickly that we can take advantage of some of the holes in the defense. And so, you know, shifting formation from here to there, it's tough to just pinpoint one thing. You know, I've watched Wisconsin football here for a long time, and for a long time you've seen the same thing across the board. You know, it's a run-heavy run heavy state, and we're just trying to do something a little bit different.
Well, hopefully that works out better than the Wisconsin Badgers run and shoot offense or Dairy Raid that we went through the last couple of years. But good luck with it. Yeah.
Thank you.
I assume that you're going to be able to go even faster, that you still have way a lot more to go to get to where you want it to be.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, yes. The way we are going to be playing now is going to be depending on who's available. So, you know, like we mentioned, we've got a lot of kids playing both sides of the ball, so we have to be careful of our tempo, but we also have to still be true to who we are too as well. So it's going to be spots where we go fast, there's going to be spots where we slow down, and that's just to preserve us, you know, so we can have a better middle of the third and fourth quarter showing.
So like your seniors, your leaders mentioned, you both the games have been non-conference. You still have a lot of schedule ahead of you. Regardless of how the wins and losses end up, what are some of the like measurements, the metrics that you look at, both tangible and intangible, so that at the end of the season, that we're where we need to be, that the kids are where they need to be, that you had success?
I would just say the way we practice is very important. I pay a lot of attention to effort, and effort goes a really long way with me as a coach, because I can direct you in the right direction if you're going 100%, right? If you're going 100% in the wrong direction, I just have to steer you, and then we got something there. But if you're not giving me the effort, right, it's a really easy way for you to have a seat next to me on the sideline. That's just the way I am, because that's something that is in you. That's something that I can't coach, the effort. So, when I look back at the end of the season and I look at every rep that we have during practice, who's giving me their actual full effort, and you can see that. I call it out every time I don't see it, and that way they understand this is the standard, is making sure that you're giving me maximum effort when I'm asking you to. And so that'll be one of the hallmark things that I have as a head coach.
Thank you, Coach. Do we have any questions for Coach Hill from the audience?
Mitch, you look like you have a question.
There used to be a thing called the ex-Cub factor in baseball, where the team with the most ex-Cubs would always win.
There used to be something in baseball called the ex-Cub factor, where the team with the most ex-Cubs would be successful.
I think we've got an ex-Blizzard factor here. So you got Chris B 3-1. I think you're going to win, Bryce.
I love that.
So Mitch says that we have an ex-Blizzard factor here, and that's going to be something that's big for us. I hope you're right. All right, so thank you very much, Coach. Again, we've got West De Pere coming up on the road on Friday night. Good luck, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
BJ Hill. All right, thanks for everybody for coming out to Southwest Chalk Talk, our very first episode right here. Once again, we're coming to you from Gallagher's here on West Mason Street in Green Bay, and we're going to be here moving forward every second Wednesday of the month. Our next time will be here on Wednesday, September 24th. Hope to see you out here, enjoy some pizza, get some good drinks, and we'll see you next time on Southwest Chalk Talk.